Hey you guys, how are you all? I look like a hot mess. I got home from work, but I promised you all that I would do my next video on my mental health journey because I didn't get to do one yesterday. And so here I am, fulfilling my promise to you that I would do my next video. And this video for me is very important because I wanted to focus on a different topic within the mental health realm. And for those of you who do not know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Olga, aka Olga Tiviri. I am a mother, a lover, a free spirit. I am a friend, and I am infinitely curious about everything. So I like to learn, and I like to share what I've learned. And I am doing a video series on my mental health journey because I feel like more people need to talk about this stuff. This needs to be more open. And yes, I am noticing my hair. Sorry, I look crazy. I feel like more people need to talk about this stuff because there's so many people suffering in silence. And I just want to show people that you are not alone. You're not, you're not crazy for going through what you're going through. You have stuff that's going on that either is repressed or undiagnosed, or, you just haven't gotten down to the bottom of it yet. And that's okay. It's okay to feel frustrated sometimes. It's okay to have feelings of sadness. What's not okay is trying to harm yourself or do harm to others. And I know about this firsthand because I myself I have been diagnosed with depression from a very early age. And before I was even diagnosed, I was feeling symptoms of that well before that. I am also a suicide survivor, so I had a suicide attempt, and thankfully I am still here, and I'm able to tell my story, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just talking about my point of view, my experience, and hopefully giving people just a sign of hope that even if you feel at your lowest low, you can still go up from there. And I am definitely proof of that. On the other side, on the flip side, this video series is also for people who may not be suffering from mental health issues, but perhaps they need to deal with somebody who does on a daily basis, whether you work with them, live with them, or just encounter them. This may give you a little bit of insight, a bit more compassion, and let you into what it's like, to live with this. So without further ado, I've been doing a different topic on every video, and today what I wanted to address was coping mechanisms. Because I think that a lot of times, even if you're not diagnosed with a mental illness, and you are suffering from like a lot of extra stress or stress over a long period of time that has gone kind of unacknowledged, you can also develop coping mechanisms that at one point they may serve you in sort of a way. Sometimes they never really serve you, but it's just the way that you learned how to deal with your emotions or situations. And then sometimes they serve you for a while and then they no longer serve you. And that seems to be very much the case for a lot of people that I know and a lot of my friends. It kind of feels like the older we get, the more we realize that there's things that we do, habits that we have, that we had those habits because it helped us at one point in time. It was a way to survive, a way to get past the pain, a way to push through anyway, or a way to just say fuck it and like act like I got this all together. But at the end of the day, the problem is that when you adopt coping mechanisms, some of them may be unhealthy, and some of them may be toxic, and they may actually to um, add more to the problems than they help. So with that being said, a couple of coping mechanisms that I have recognized that I have fallen into, and some of them that I have come out of as well over the years. Um, this may be relevant to you. This may not be relevant to you. This may sound kind of shocking. So bear with me. And again, I thank everybody for watching, for participating, for sharing your words, for allowing me to be myself, and for me to just come up here and speak my truth, because I think that that's the only way that we're going to get anywhere, is by people just opening up and speaking their truth. So when I was younger, coping mechanisms looked like getting angry and isolating myself. So I would get really upset and I would cry if something upset me. And the usual reaction to my crying was that I shouldn't be crying, and that I looked ugly when I cried, and that, crying was for babies. And that just set me off and made me more upset. So I learned how to repress my feelings after that. But the problem with that is that when I became a teenager, from repressing feelings and trying not to cry and trying not to look soft in front of other people, or a crybaby in front of other people, I resorted to getting angry and violent. So becoming angry is another coping mechanism, because in that way, you don't even have to deal with any of the shit that you have going on with yourself. You just go and pass it on to somebody else. This is what we call projecting, right? So you're dealing with some issues on your own, but you are projecting your feelings, your emotions onto somebody else that's not related to it, but you're just gonna go dish it out. So this is like paying it forward in the worst way possible. Not something that you want to do, and not something that I'm proud of. But I know that I have definitely done this in the past, where, a stranger may look at me the wrong way. And especially when I was a teenager, man, I was a hothead. You couldn't look at me. I was like, what are you looking at? Bump into me, like, why are you disrespecting me? Talk to me or insult me. Oh my God, that was the worst thing. I remember one time being at Chuck E. Cheese, and this woman, there was nothing going on. It was completely unrelated. Somehow this woman called me stupid for no reason, and I was about to fly over the skee ball machine and like rip her head off. That like 6 grown men had to come and hold me at Chuck E. Cheese. Now, mind you, I was younger. Again, not a proud moment, but it's like, you never know what's going on in somebody else's head. So it's kind of messed up that this person, whatever they were going through, they projected it onto me. But I, in turn, went and tried to unleash everything that had been bothering me up until that point onto that person. So becoming angry as a coping mechanism just never works. It doesn't do anything for you. It's not positive in any sort of way. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. And it's okay to feel through those emotions. What's not okay is to put that on other people. Our emotions are the best way for us to be able to gauge where we are with ourselves. Like, are you aligned with what you truly believe in and what you want your life to look like in the next couple of years? You can ask yourself that question several times a day, all day, every day, at any given moment. And what you're feeling, what your emotions are right in the moment, will give you a lot of information. If you're feeling upset, then you're obviously not aligned. Because being aligned and being in tune with the things that you truly believe in, you truly hold dear, and the kind of life that you're trying to build for yourself, if you are going with your truest desires, you're looking for some sort of peace, some sort of abundance, some sort of wellness. Anger and abundance, anger and peace, anger and health does not align with each other. So you're not going to feel great about it, but it's okay. So it's okay to feel those feelings, just don't pay them forward to other people. Other coping mechanisms, or other ways that I've isolated myself, because isolation is a really huge coping mechanism that, like I said, sometimes you need solace. Sometimes you need to sit with yourself and ask yourself the questions. But there's a big difference between sitting with yourself and asking yourself the questions and sitting with yourself and ruminating over all the mistakes that you've ever made, over your most recent failures, ruminating over past relationships that haven't worked out, ruminating over that friendship that seems to be going down the drain, and like berating yourself and talking negatively to yourself. You know, that never works. That's never gonna lead you to feeling good and feeling whole and feeling better and feeling hopeful. So when I talk about giving yourself some solace and some time for yourself, I mean sitting with yourself and being compassionate with yourself. But isolating yourself and then berating yourself and going down that spiral of thoughts, a lot of times when you're feeling depressed and stuff like that, it feels like a runaway train. It's like one thought comes and then the train just runs away with all these other thoughts, and it's one after another, after another, after another. And it's really hard to get out of that cycle. So in these cases, you probably do want to put yourself with somebody else because you're not thinking clearly. Your thought patterns, it's hard to interrupt them once it's going like this. So you may need some help from somebody outside of yourself. You may just need more support from somebody. You may just need somebody to listen to you. Again, sometimes when you talk and you let it out, you can work issues all by yourself in your head, or while you're saying it out loud. You're going to get ideas about it. But don't keep it to yourself. That kind of isolation that's the kind of isolation that leads to the increased occurrences of issues with heart disease and insomnia and things like that are so prevalent for people who suffer from mental health issues. Now, other coping mechanisms. Coping mechanism that I used a lot in my younger youth, because I guess I'm so youthful. People always look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I feel old, but sometimes I do. But drinking and using drugs, it became like a crutch. Whenever I didn't want to really involve myself in things, or I wanted to run away from things, drinking seemed like a really good option. And unfortunately, I tend to have a really high tolerance. So it would be very easy for me to go from feeling really tipsy to really, really drunk. And the problem with this is that you don't work through your issues. You're not drinking to have fun. You're drinking or doing drugs to mask the pain, to get away from whatever's going on. Since I've worked through my issues, and not all of them, but since I've worked through a lot of stuff, I realized that when I'm drinking heavily and if I'm smoking a lot of weed, or even those times when I was experimenting with other stuff like ease and things like that, it was because I was trying to run away from something else. And I wasn't really using it as a social thing. I mean, I was using it socially, but it was like any excuse to go out and get wasted. That's pretty much how it was. And now I don't feel like that. Now, that I've been able to work through a lot of the issues that used to drive me to go and pick up a bottle. I feel like when I go out and drink, I can actually drink and I know my limit. I know that by the time that I feel woozy, it's time to like let it go and dance it all off or take my ass home, you know. I drink socially and in celebration and maybe sometimes after like a long stressful day, but it's no longer happy hours where my whole paycheck is being spent. Yeah, and that used to happen a lot. Like I was spending all of my money on drinking. I wasn't even eating as much as I was drinking, I remember. And it's just not helpful when it's like that, you know. For some people, they do develop a drinking problem. I feel like I was abusing drugs and alcohol. um I don't consider myself to be a person who is addicted because um you know, it wasn't something that I needed to have every day, but it was something that I preferred to rely on to medicate. If you are having problems with drinking and drug use, and you're not sure if you have an addiction or if you're abusing it because you're trying to bury and mask things, you should definitely seek help. Go seek a professional. And one of the earlier videos I mentioned the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where I saw that therapist for 12 sessions. The reason why I got connected with her is because I had said, you know what, I feel like I'm abusing alcohol right now at this time, and I need to see somebody for this. And they see people with an array of different issues, but that's one of the things that they assist people with, and that's why, you know, it's a short session. But there are programs out there to be able to help you. If you have any questions about that, you know, let me know. I can definitely forward you some information. You can either comment below on this video or just shoot me a private message on my Instagram page at Olgatibri. That's OLGATIBRI. And yeah, so drinking and drugs, definitely not a great coping mechanism. Another coping mechanism was using other people. Using other people in the way of being promiscuous. Being promiscuous and going out there and not really respecting, you know, myself, and not really giving myself the value that I deserve, because I was in a place of so much hurt and so much pain that it just felt better to, you know, like spend the night with somebody who probably didn't really give two shits about me, but in that moment, I let it all go. I lost it all. And it didn't make anything better. It didn't help. Now, I will tell you, I'm very much a sex positive person. I'm very open-minded. There's a lot of things that, you know, I feel like people should talk about and are okay. And I think that if you want to go out there and you want to live your best life and you are having sex with multiple people, as long as you're being safe, taking precautions, being absolutely honest with everybody that you're with, more power to you, no problems. And as long as you're doing it from a healthy space. I am all about that. I think that is great. I think more people need to talk about having positive sex experiences. I just know that as much as I am sex positive, I have completely recognized where I have also been abusive to myself, in terms that I knew that I was just sleeping with people that weren't worth it. And you know, it made me feel more in control of my life. It made me feel better about myself. But that only lasted for maybe the night. And then the next morning I was up again with the same issues, same problems, same self-esteem, low self-esteem issues, and nothing really got better. As a matter of fact, I felt worse because here I was, like I said, not valuing myself. And here I was, nobody wanted to marry me. Everybody taking me for a joke. Men feeling like they could treat me any way that they wanted to. um, and that was a very slippery slope. So this behavior definitely started early on and persisted for many, many years. And it wasn't until I started getting assistance with the drug and alcohol abuse that I addressed these issues. Although I wasn't always being promiscuous, I did always have issues of thinking about the times when I was, and feeling bad about myself, feeling bad about that part of my history. One of the things that I have learned, and that is super important through this process, is to give yourself grace. Like, we are human beings. I am not the first or the last person who opened up my legs to the wrong person. And unfortunately, it happened, but at the end of the day, it happened. I'm over that. I no longer feel bad about it. There are times where I've been pretty badass, and and I totally was into it. There were times where I wasn't into it, not my proudest moment, but you know what? Whatever. You live and you learn. I have since healed a lot of the issues that I had around relationships, romantic relationships, and I have learned so much about myself. And I feel like that's why at this point I've been able to align with a partner who is super loving, super caring, treats me just like amazing. And so, I that's something that I feel like is a really great side effect from starting to take really great care of myself and give myself the value and the worth that I am, and holding myself to a higher standard, and holding other people around me to a higher standard. Because let's be honest, we can't just hold ourselves to a higher standard. We have to hold everybody else to a higher standard. Either you're going to meet me up here, or that's it. Like, we're not going to be able to talk. Like, years before, I remember just, I almost felt like pathetic, right? Because I would just be begging these people to just like stay with me. Like, why won't you just be with me? And then I ended up getting in a relationship where everything was really great in the beginning, and then all of a sudden it was like I lost myself to somebody else because I was still not completely valuing myself. I was good enough to be in a consistent relationship with a loving person, and instead of going and running around and being with, other people, I was super committed. But then I lost myself because I tried to make everything work with this one person, maybe believing that it couldn't happen for me again. I couldn't fall in love again, or that, I deserve to be punished still for my indiscretions in the past that came before that, which was completely untrue. It's not true. I don't deserve the worst. I deserve to give myself some space to learn what I can learn from the situations, and either accept what is and work with it, or not accept it and then move on from it and then make a change. I did end up moving on, and then I ended up finding somebody who is super aligned, like I said. And I think it's, like I said, a nice side effect from all of the work that I've been doing with myself. So shout out to the boo. I love you. You are my rock. You are my home. And Will, I'm going to marry you. So So another coping mechanism that I would like to speak about is codependency. Whoa, this is a big one for me, a huge one. And I know that it's huge for a lot of people, whether you're suffering from mental health issues or not. Codependency is when you become dependent on another person, whether it's a romantic relationship, friendship, even at work or what have you. When you're dependent on somebody else so that you can feel like everything's okay, good, and in control, that's the worst thing that you can do. It fills you with tons of anxiety, because when the other person doesn't respond the way that you want them to, it's like, oh my god, like, this is wrong. It's a shit show. Being codependent it's hard and it's exhausting, because you can't even just think for yourself. You're always considering and thinking about the other person and what they're doing and what they're not doing, and how is this gonna affect them, and what if they don't like this thing that I do, and what if they're not available for me. It's super important for you to learn how to find ways to start working and healing yourself, and then incorporate the people in and ask them to support you. However, they cannot become the crutch on which you walk around with all the time. It's not healthy. It's not a good thing to put too much of any expectancies on anybody else outside of yourself, and even with yourself. Recognize that we are all human beings. So there's going to be some days where you may hit up your friend and you need some help, but you know what? They may be in a really deep and dark place at that time as well. So instead of being upset, because this is what would happen to me, I'd be upset. I'm like, oh my god, like nobody is here for me. Nobody wants to be here for me. Nobody cares about what I feel like. Mind you, I also wasn't talking to anybody. I was just making up stuff in my head about what they were doing and what it looked like on their end. If I had thought about healing myself and not having to rely on other people, I wouldn't have suffered so much. I know that for damn sure. And I know it because now things are so different. Now I recognize when I'm starting to have those codependent behaviors. This still pops up. It's still something that I am learning about myself and I'm still healing through. So I recognize when I'm kind of leaning a little bit too much, like maybe on my boyfriend or maybe on my friends, because I get frustrated when they can't be there for me, quote unquote. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second, chill. You're supposed to be there for yourself first. So have you tried that? Have you done that? Oh, you've been trying to hide away from your thoughts, because that happens as well. When we're in a place where we're really uncomfortable, we tend to run away from these things. I'm really great at running away from shit. I'm so great at I can't run very fast, but running away from problems, I get the gold medal. I might just get the gold medal. I'll be running. It's amazing how quickly I can just drop something and be like, nope, not picking that up, not dealing with that. Nope. The problem with this is that eventually it comes right back. So being codependent, not a great feeling. Being supported, that's a good feeling, and that's what we're reaching for. But that's what it would feel like when I was being codependent. So I recognize that. And let's see, any other coping mechanisms that I want to touch on. I think that's about it. Coping mechanisms. Oh, people pleasing and being the hero. People pleasing. I would do anything to help somebody else. I believe that God has put me here on this earth so that I can help other people reach their fullest potential. However, I have recognized where in the past I have tried to help others before helping myself. And this is a sure sign that you are running away from your issues again. It's another form of running away. Becoming the hero in somebody else's story means that you don't have to be the hero for yourself. You can deal with other people's shit and help them through it. And then you can feel really good about yourself and put that sticker on your chest and say, hey, look at what I did for this person. But if you're not dealing with your own shit, then you're gonna come back home to that same pile of shit. That same mess that you left will still be there. So for my people out there who, you know that you are here to help, you are a warrior, you are a healer, you are out here, remember that it all starts with you. A lot of times when I am dealing with my depression, or just dealing with feelings of sadness, confusion and anger, I choose to help somebody else, and it is very cathartic, and it fills me up. I love helping other people, but I have to always remember, and I have to check in with myself. Checking in is super important, and I have to check in with myself and tell myself, like, hey, are you doing this because you want to honestly help this person? Are you doing it because you want to feel good about helping this person? Are you doing this because you're trying to get an ego boost? Or are you doing this genuinely because you care and you feel like you would like to step in? These are questions that I have to ask myself every time that I try to jump in and start helping somebody else. And I try to do that beforehand. Sometimes I don't always get there with the questions, and I'm already jumping in and I'm like, shit, I'm over here trying to distract myself. Whatever. Let me go ahead and do the best that I can do with this person right now, and I'm going to get back to me, and I'm going to work on these things for myself. But that's definitely a coping mechanism that, I mean, it feels great in the moment, but then, like I said, you come back to your own shit. So it's not really helping you much if you're not helping yourself. You have to put yourself first. And it's a cliche, quote, but this is why they tell you to put on your mask in the airplane, and then you help others. So you put yours on first, and then you help others. If you do not take care of yourself, if you do not fill yourself up, how could you ever give to anybody else? And this was a super hard lesson for me to learn, because I thought that I was doing really good by helping everybody else. But I didn't realize what a disservice I was doing to myself and to the people that I love around me by not taking good care of myself. Because what happened was everything would build up, and then by the time I got run ragged, I was a hot blubbering mess. I was crying, kicking and screaming, or just wanting to isolate myself from the world and not do anything for anybody. Then the demands got to be way too much. Then all the compromisos, all the promises that I had made had been too much. It came to be too much, and I tried to do so much to fill up all my time. And then, where's the time for me? There was no time for me. There's no way that I could have time for me, because I was splitting my time between everybody else. So don't do this to yourself, guys. It's such a disservice to yourself and to the people around you. Fill yourself up. Take good care of yourself. The last coping mechanism that I do want to speak about, because this kind of perfectly led right into it, is being busy. Being really busy. Being busy doing nothing. A lot of times, instead of taking care of what we've got to take care of with ourselves, we decide to fill our time with other things. Oh, I've got this commitment over here. Oh, I've got this over there. But if you don't take time for healing, like I said, always going to pop up. It's going to manifest, whether it's a physical ailment, whether it's just a bigger problem, I remember seeing Oprah at the Life You Want tour. Oprah is one of my adopted mothers. She is a soul sister, and she don't even know it. One day, I'm gonna work with Oprah, and I believe it. I claim it. But I went to go see her at the Life You Want tour, and one of the segments, she was talking about how sometimes things in life come to you as little raindrops, and then the raindrops become like fatter, like raindrops, almost like a tropical rain. And if you ignore those little whispers, the little raindrops, and you ignore the fatter raindrops, then it becomes a storm. And if you ignore the storm, then the storm becomes a typhoon. And then you're in crisis mode, and then things get really crazy. Life will give you signals all along. Your feelings will not lie to you if you really take the time to listen to what's really going on in here. Life will give you signals all along of how you're feeling, what's going on, and how aligned you are with what you really believe in and what you really want your life to be like. And if you ignore those things, after a while, life is going to find another way to show you that you're still not aligned, and that you need to cut some stuff out, and you need to start taking care of yourself. And if you ignore that, well, then you're going to get hit with a crisis like you never believe. Or like, it's been the case always for me. I know it's the case for everybody else, and I think that this is relevant again, even if you don't have any mental health issues. You got to take care of this shit. You got to take care of yourself. You have to do the work, and it is work. And I'm not gonna lie, some days you don't want to do the work, and some days you gotta shelf the work until the next day. Some days it's better to just take a nap. Some days you just need to stop everything cold and then leave it just for tomorrow. But you do have to do the work, because if you don't, it's gonna manifest in another way. So don't bury everything under tons of work, because it's not productive, it's not healthy. You're gonna run yourself ragged like I did. My body was killing me. My health was in jeopardy, and I was a shell of my former self. And it wasn't until I started like really looking at things and looking at myself and examining, what was going on, and started taking steps towards, health and recovery, that things didn't start getting better. But until I paid attention, man, those little drops turned into a storm. And it happened so quietly over a period of time that I didn't realize it. And I just don't want that to happen to any of you guys out there. Or I want you to know, like, if this is what's happening to you, this is so common. It happens to everybody in many different ways. Don't ignore the signs. Find somebody to talk to. And when it comes to coping mechanisms, remember that they may have started as something that you did when you were younger, and it helped you, but they no longer serve you. So find a way to bury those shits, let them go, and find healing for yourself. If you or someone you know is suffering from issues of mental illness, deep feelings of sadness or depression, there are resources out there. The National Suicide Hotline is out there for you. I have posted it up on my Instagram. Again, it's at Olga Tiviri. So that is on there. You'll see the post that I've got on there dealing with that. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to address tomorrow, I'll be doing my last video. But if there's anything that you'd like me to address, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to chat with you also if, like, let's say you're going through a hard time and you're not quite sure where to go, or you need to open up to somebody and, just kind of let some stuff out. Like, I'm definitely willing to listen to you, help you, and point you to the right direction, just send me a private message or comment below in the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is the longest video out of all of them, but I really feel passionately about this, and I just don't want anybody else to have to suffer by themselves. And this part of my experience with coping mechanisms, I hope to show you that it's not just exclusive to mental health issues either. We can all stand to learn how different types of coping mechanisms are no longer serving us, and what maybe it's pointing to in our past that we had to use it for, and maybe that needs to be healed too, so that we can continue and move forward and keep growing and keep expanding as the wonderful, ever expanding beings that we are, like the children of God that we are. So thank you guys so much. Today is September 13th, Friday the 13th, full moon, harvest moon, and it's my birthday. So really, really appreciative of all of you guys. Again, thank you so much for allowing me to be myself. You all stay true to yourself. Listen to those whispers. Don't ignore it, and reach out to somebody. I love you guys, and I really thank you for being here with me. It means a lot. And thank you all for listening. I am about to post this video and then go to bed. All right. See you guys. Bye.